The night of breaking. The night was silent except for the soft sobs echoing through the small maid's quarters behind the grand Whitefield mansion. Amara sat on the cold floor, her trembling hands clutching a faded photo of a child whose face she once healed, her own patient, her own little miracle, before her world shattered. Once, she was Dr. Amara Lewis, a celebrated dermatologist known for her compassion and brilliance. Now, she was nothing but the help, wearing a plain uniform that hid more scars than it showed. Her name was whispered in the hospital hallways once. Now it was whispered in the servants' kitchen. And every time she saw the CEO's little boy, Noah, hiding his scarred face behind his hair, her heart broke a little more, because she knew how it felt to be seen only by your flaws. But what no one knew was that every night, when the world slept, Amara was secretly healing Noah's skin and his soul. Until one day, the secret she buried beneath years of silence was uncovered, and everything changed. The day Amara stepped into the Whitefield mansion, she promised herself two things: never to reveal her past, and never to love again. The CEO, Ethan Whitefield, was a man of precision, cold, efficient, and distant. His son, Noah, was the only piece of softness left in his marble-hearted world. Burn scars covered Noah's left cheek, a reminder of a car accident that had taken his mother. Every doctor failed, every treatment left him in more pain, and every mirror shattered his confidence a little more. Amara watched him from afar at first, how he'd flinch when light touched his face, how he'd hide when guests visited. Something inside her ached. She had once healed faces like his, once whispered hope into lives scarred by pain. One night, she heard muffled crying from the boys' room. Noah was sitting by the window, clutching a bottle of cream, his hands shaking. "It doesn't work," he whispered. Her heart couldn't stay silent. She walked in quietly. "May I help you, young master?" He looked at her, really looked, and something changed in his eyes. "You don't look at me like the others." She smiled softly. "Because I don't see what they see. I see healing, waiting to happen." That night, she mixed her own formula, gentle oils, herbs, and a touch of science she thought she'd left behind. Under moonlight, she treated his skin, whispering comforting words like a mother to her child. Weeks passed. The scars softened. Noah laughed more. He began to paint again, his little fingers covered in colors instead of shame. And slowly, Ethan began to notice. "Who's been helping my son?" he demanded one evening. His voice was sharp, but his eyes were tired. Amara froze, guilt rushing through her veins. She bowed deeply. "Forgive me, sir. I only wanted to ease his pain." He stared at her, this quiet, gentle maid who somehow did what 10 doctors couldn't. He didn't say a word, only nodded once and walked away. But something unspoken began to shift in the house, the air warmer, the silence softer. For the first time, Amara felt she was healing too, not just Noah's skin, but her own buried heart. Healing, Amara learned, was never just about the body. It was about the soul remembering how to breathe again. Months went by, and Noah's face began to glow with new life. He smiled openly, even tugged his father's sleeve during breakfast, something he hadn't done in years. Ethan started to notice more, her patience, her warmth, her quiet strength. But secrets have a way of surfacing, especially those built on guilt. One morning, a guest arrived. Dr. Sylvia Kane, a world-famous dermatologist and Amara's former colleague. She recognized her instantly. "Amara Lewis?" she gasped, eyes wide. "You're alive." Ethan turned sharply. "You know her?" Sylvia hesitated, her expression shifting. "She was one of the best doctors I knew, until that lawsuit. A treatment went wrong. A young girl died, and Amara disappeared before the trial." The room went silent. The teacup slipped from Amara's hand, shattering into tiny shards. Her past, the one she'd buried under shame and heartbreak, stood naked before everyone. Tears stung her eyes. "I never meant to harm anyone. I tried to save her, but she didn't make it. I couldn't face the world after that." Ethan's jaw tightened. "So you lied your way into my home?" "No," she whispered, voice trembling. "I just wanted a place where my hands could heal again." He turned away, his voice breaking slightly. "You should have told me." Amara packed her things that night. As she looked at Noah sleeping peacefully, her tears fell freely. "You'll be fine now, little one," she whispered. "You taught me to believe again." But as she stepped out into the cold night, her heart shattered anew. because she knew leaving was the only way to protect the fragile peace she'd built. Months later, the Whitefield mansion felt emptier. Noah had stopped smiling. The creams on his dresser remained untouched. Ethan tried to fill the silence with work, but his heart wasn't in it. He remembered Amara's steady voice, her hands that healed without judgment. He realized that healing wasn't just science, it was compassion. One rainy evening, a familiar figure stood at the mansion gates, drenched, trembling, but calm. "Amara, I came to return something," she said softly, handing him a small notebook, her old research journal. Inside were formulas, notes, and something written on the last page. "Healing begins where forgiveness is found." Ethan read the words, then looked up at her. "You healed my son's skin," he said quietly. "But you also healed my heart, and I didn't even thank you." Tears welled in her eyes. "I only gave what I lost, faith." Noah came running from behind him, throwing his arms around her waist. "Miss Amara, I prayed you'd come back." In that moment, the mansion wasn't cold anymore. It was a home again, one built not on perfection, but on compassion, forgiveness, and second chances. Amara didn't return as a maid this time. Ethan offered her a new place, head of the company's new skin-healing foundation for children with scars. Her past didn't vanish, but it no longer defined her. She stood on the balcony one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky gold. For the first time in years, she breathed without pain. Healing wasn't about erasing scars, it was about learning to live beautifully with them. Dizzy moral of the story. True healing begins when we stop hiding our scars and start embracing them as proof that we survived. The past may leave marks, but it also leaves wisdom, and sometimes the deepest wounds lead to the most compassionate hearts. Sparkling Heart.